All right, we're rolling. Um, First off, I just want to say I am not liking this. I don't want to do this, but it needs to be done. I've put it off for way too long. It's been about 2 or 3 months that I should have done this already. So I'm finally biting the bullet and getting it done. Um, I have written up all of the notes that I need, so I'll be reading off of that on the side. So if I'm not right on, that's why. Um, I just feel like the world needs to know this. Whether we get this lawsuit done or not, people need to know what happened to me so that it doesn't happen again. The conspiracies that I've had to deal with are just unacceptable. Um, so just bear with me, guys. I'm going to talk about how a hospital in Iowa basically gave me cancer. I did not have it prior, and then they've tried to hide it and cover it up and intimidate me. All right, so let's start off with January of 2023. I'll read off my notes here. After countless improvements, including losing 250 pounds, I'm not. I am not an exercising person. I don't have good willpower, so that was a big feat for me. I lost 250 pounds. I did 2 years of dialysis treatments at home. Um, I believe like a year of dialysis treatments in the center, maybe 6 months in the center. I'm not sure. Um, Countless hospitalizations. I worked my butt off. It is a hard process to get approved for a transplant. Excuse me. But I did it. Not only was I approved for one transplant department, I got approved for two different hospitals in Iowa. It was University of Iowa, and that's located in Iowa City, Iowa, and Iowa Methodist in Des Moines, Iowa. At this point, it was just a matter of time of which hospital received a matching kidney first. So then I get approved on those lists in January. A month later, February 23rd of 2023, early that morning, I received a call that Iowa Methodist, that's the one in Des Moines, had a kidney for me. I was told that the donor did have high blood pressure and diabetes, but they also assured me that neither one of those would affect me and that the organ was safe. Excuse me. So my family and I drove to Des Moines. That afternoon, it was me and another woman. I never got her name. They obviously couldn't disclose it to me, but all I knew was that she was a 60-year-old woman. We both received one of each of those organs from that donor. We just knew it was a male. We didn't have any information from him. Just a little tidbit of information, and this might be a little long. I'm sorry, guys, but there's a lot of information to kind of cover so that all of this makes sense. And, you'll see that I'm not just making this up. Just a tidbit of information that I learned just that day myself. When you get a kidney transplant, you would think that they removed a bad kidney and put in a new one. They don't. They just put in a third one. So, yeah, that's gonna make sense. That's gonna matter in a little bit. Let's see here. Where are my notes? So that day, I had the transplant. Everything was fine. I, was in a normal amount of pain from the surgery, but nothing extravagant. Um, Shortly after I woke up from that surgery, though, I was told that the doctor would need to come in and talk to me. And everybody knows I'm a jokester. I'm going to find a joke and laugh through everything, pain, whatever it might be. So I jokingly asked if there was anything bad, and nobody would answer me. All they just kept saying is that the doctor would be in to talk to me. Nobody would look me in the eyes. And there was this sense of sadness and doom in every nurse that I spoke with. It was like they were rushing, trying to get out of the room. I mean, they made sure I had all my needs met, but they were just out. And I mean, I know they're busy, they got stuff to do, but it was just something weird. I could just tell something weird was going on. So the surgeon who performed my surgery, he came in to talk to me, and he told me that the kidney that they had just put in, that they would have to remove. never heard of that. I've heard of um, people's bodies rejecting an organ, a transplant, but I'd never heard of this. So I didn't know what was going on. Apparently, there's a different specialist, a different surgeon, whoever inspected the organ when they harvested it from the donor, they noticed that something was wrong with the kidney. So they ordered a special test, is what they keep saying. Um, Now, when I talked to them about that special test, they said, "Oh no, we didn't order any test that wasn't normal. We did all the normal procedures. Everything was like it always is. Blah 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 blah." Um, but they ordered a special test to see if there was anything to be concerned about. And I asked, "Well, why didn't you tell? Why didn't that test show us what we needed to do and not go through this surgery? Like, why didn't we get those results before?" They said that that special test took longer to get the results back than the 36-hour allotment that they give you. So once, I guess, when they harvest it, they have 36 hours to get a kidney into somebody, or they can't use it. Essentially, they lose money. It was about money for them. Um, I was told that they have concerns come up all the time, and the results always come back that there's nothing wrong. But this time, once in a million chance, that something was wrong. They said that the donor's lymph nodes had a very aggressive form of cancer. They said they could guess that it was pancreatic cancer, but they didn't test to see which one it was for sure. Um, and that was the reason that they needed to remove the kidney. That was the excuse that they gave me. So I was told there was a very small chance that the cancer would get to me as long as we got the kidney out in time. Of course, I didn't want to go through another surgery. I'd had tons of surgeries dealing with my kidney failure and having to do dialysis. They do one in your chest. That's what this is. They cut your arm open and reroute your veins and everything. And, that's what all of this is. That will never, never go away. I can never get that back to normal because that's what they put the needles in you. Biggest needles you've ever seen in your life. 2 needles. And they tape it down, and those needles stay in your arm for the entire 3.5, some people do 4-hour treatments. You can barely move, or it messes everything up. It's painful. You have to hold the arm for, I don't know, some people do it like 15 minutes to make sure it doesn't bleed. Some people still bleed. It's just, yeah, it's a whole mess. So I've had a lot of surgeries from that. So obviously I didn't want to go through another surgery. Um, so, I was just trying to reason with them. I'm like, okay, well, can't we just deal with this later? I'm sorry, I have a cat that's getting into something over there. I'm like, can't we just deal with this later? And, we can just watch for the cancer. And you're saying there's not any chance. There's a very low chance that I'll get it. And I worked so hard to get this kidney. I don't want to do another surgery. Let's just leave it in. And they said, no, they couldn't do that because if the cancer did reach me, even though they kept saying it was a small chance, even if it did reach me, that my cat, it's bothered me. Even if it did reach me, that I would be dead within a year because of how aggressive this cancer was. Okay, sorry about that pause. My cat was eating a bag. She likes to eat plastic, so I had to stop and get that away from her. Where was I? Not wanting to have another surgery, I, asked if I could not, we just see how it goes. And like I said, they said if the cancer did get to me, I'd be dead within a year because of how aggressive that it was. Let's see, where am I in my notes? All right, so the next day, February 24th, I had that second surgery in the same spot because they had to take the staples out, cut in there, go back in, reroute everything. I do remember waking up from that second surgery, experiencing blurred vision. I mean, that lasted days. I've gone over like text messages and messages of people checking up on me around that time. And, I kept telling people, you can't text me. You have to call me because I can't see anything. I can't see text. I I don't know if it was the anesthesia. I don't know. But I had blurred vision for 4 or 5 days, perhaps. But more severe than that, I had this abnormal pain in my thighs and legs, like nothing I have ever experienced before. It felt like lightning bolts were just coursing through the entire lower half of my body. It felt like I was being electrocuted. It was so strong that I would have to grab onto something to ensure that I didn't fall because, it almost dropped me to my knees. And, I had staples in my abdomen. Like, I mean, like a lot. Like, my scar is like this big. It's like a J form, and there were staples all around it. And every time I would feel those pulling, um, no amount of narcotic pain medicine that the hospital had made any difference in that pain. Nothing worked. It was just unbearable. None of the doctors or the nurses were taking it seriously. I mean, you hear about Black females not being taken serious when it comes to pain in the medical field, but I hadn't experienced that yet. But yeah, they weren't taking it seriously. I was told that I just needed to get up and start walking. Um, I couldn't even sit in an upright position without screaming in pain, and there would be a flood of tears. And it was the worst. It was worse than the surgery. It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. The only comfort and relief that I got was laying completely flat. Like I said, I couldn't even sit upright. And all they said was, well, you're just being lazy. We need to get you out of this bed. The 60-year-old lady, the one who got the other kidney, she's already walking around the hospital and she's, ready to go home. She's doing laps around you. And yeah, they just kept calling me lazy the entire time. I mean, that really doesn't make you feel good as a heavyset woman either. So, hey, they also told me that I couldn't possibly be feeling the pain that I was telling them. It wasn't possible. I couldn't be suffering like that. It was all made up because the pain that I was telling them, like where it was at, was nowhere near the incisions, and it wasn't. Um, Finally, on the sixth day, a different doctor came in to examine me, and he was like, I think you have nerve damage. And so I started asking questions about that, and he basically said it was from them having to go back in to that spot a second time. So, I asked him how common that was. And I was told it happens. It's a common thing, especially with doing two surgeries. So the why did they gaslight me for 6 whole days and belittle me and call me lazy? And yes, you can imagine how that ticked me off. But no, he was certain that I had nerve damage and that he put in like a request for physical therapy to come and get involved because, like I said, I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was just laying in that bed for 6 whole days. What originally was planned to be a 2 to 3 day hospital stay ended up being 8 days. I was in the hospital for 8 days. I had to relearn how to walk, even through all that nerve damage pain. And I think the worst part for me, once I got past that, was that I had to do dialysis again. I had to go back and face everybody, the whole team that was so proud of me for all the work that I had done and for everything that I had been through. I mean, hmm, I had so many hospitalizations and sicknesses and things I had to overcome and things I had to fight in order to meet the health standard to get on the transplant list. It took me 3 years. It took me so long to get on the transplant list that once I finally got on there, I was at the top of the list. That's why I got a kidney the next month. It takes people years to get a kidney. But yeah, that was that. So now I had to go back and face all those people who had been my support team and my nurses and my techs and everything at dialysis and look them in the face after a failed surgery and go back to dialysis for 3 days a week. On top of that, I was told that I would be ineligible for another transplant for 3 months. I thought, okay, fine, I can do that. Those 3 months turned into 6 months. Those 6 months turned into much longer. And I'm going to tell you why. Sorry. So we get to June 22nd. I needed to go to the emergency room because I had this intense pain in my abdomen. Excuse me. I was told that it was a hernia along that transplant incision because the surgeon hadn't closed me properly. So basically, my intestines were plugged. They were plugged in a hole that the doctor left. So my intestines were pushing through that. And the only thing protecting them was that layer of skin in my stomach, like the outer stomach. And it was cutting off circulation to my intestines. That ER doctor was able to manually push that back in. That was painful. That was painful. He manually popped that back into place. But he also told me that it could happen again if we didn't have a surgery to fix it. But before we could get that scheduled, August 4th, back in the emergency room for the same thing, that hernia, the intestines were pushing through. This time it couldn't be popped back into place, and I had to have surgery to repair that. Here we go, another surgery. So we reached September 1st. I know this is a lot, guys. I'm sorry. We reached September 1st. I got a phone call from Iowa Methodist. That's the hospital that did the transplant surgery. They said that my most recent CT showed that there was a lesion on the kidney that I was born with, my native kidney. I later found out that a lesion, it doesn't have to be a tumor, but it can turn out to be a tumor. But they just kept saying lesion. According to them, this lesion was detected a year before my transplant. But they weren't concerned about it because it wasn't growing in size. But within the last 3 months, it had increased quite a bit. And because of that, I needed to have my own kidney that I was born with. So this is the second kidney to be removed. My own kidney removed, just to make sure that it wasn't cancer. So now this would be my 4th surgery related to this transplant when it was only supposed to be one. I asked if there were any additional tests that could be done to rule out the cancer, to prevent having to have another surgery. Iowa Methodist told me that there wasn't. There was no other choice. I just had to get it done. Basically tried to bully me into it. It called me relentlessly to get that removed. And it just didn't sit right in my spirit as to why they were so adamant about this. Now, if you remember, I said I was accepted into 2 transplant departments. I was Iowa Methodist, the one that messed me up, and the University of Iowa. They just didn't get a kidney in time that matched me. But had they done that, then I would have went with them. So I called them, the one that didn't do the transplant. I called them just to get their, their advice and what they would do in that situation. I also talked to my personal nephrologist. A nephrologist is a kidney doctor through my hospital. And so both of them went over their records and they both swore that 1 year before there was not a lesion there. They looked them up and down. University of Iowa actually told me, well, if it were us and we were in this situation and we were the one that did transplant and noticed this, we would want to, because they specifically said, because you've had so many surgeries and we need your body to just heal up. Because of that, we would do an MRI and then we would do a biopsy of the tumor. Because if it's not cancer, there's nothing that we have to worry about and we can just leave it there. It could just be a lesion because your kidneys are so damaged. They're basically useless. I have no kidney function. I don't urinate. When I get a CT or X-ray, they're like shriveled up like a raisin. There's no use to them. That's what they said. They said that they would do an MRI and a biopsy of the tumor to see if it was serious. And if it wasn't cancer, they'd just leave it alone and put me back on transplant list and nothing would be done. So I informed the other hospital that was trying to bully me that I wanted to do an MRI and a biopsy with the good hospital and that I was going to wait. They didn't like that. During that time, they tried multiple scare tactics and tried intimidating me. They went to my nephrologist and other doctors and tried to get them to force me to get this done and scare me and all these different things. They were just very, very pushy about it. And I was like, y'all need to back up. Like, for real. It's we can wait until these tests come back. It'll be fine. But they just kept on and kept on and kept on. Obviously, because they just wanted that organ out of me so that we didn't have any proof that could link it back to them. I'm glad that I trusted my instincts and I decided to continue with those tests because it showed that that lesion that they were talking about, it was indeed cancer and it was an aggressive cancer. They tested it. It was a cancer that's so rare that there's not many studies and not much information on it to where they could even give me any advice or anything like that. They did suggest that I just get the kidney out. So, I mean, yeah, but at least now from the biopsy, we had a sample so that we can test it, and that will help us link it to the cancer that that donor had, proving that it came from them and not from my mysterious tumor from a year before. So I did let them take that organ. So now that makes the fourth surgery related to this. And that's not even including, like I said, this surgery here and the arm surgery. That's not even including that. And I had two other surgeries because I did dialysis at home, and that goes through your stomach. So yeah, we're up to, I don't even know how many surgeries deal like this anymore. Let's see here. Where are we in the notes? Oh yeah. So since there's such a high risk of this cancer, this aggressive cancer returning, I've been removed from all transplant programs, both of them, the good and the bad one. I can't even submit to other ones out of state because now I have a record of this aggressive cancer and I won't be able to get another kidney for at least a year. They want to make sure that the cancer doesn't show up again. So every 3 months, I have to get checked with CTs and blood work and all these other things. And, halfway there, and there's been no sign of cancer. So thank goodness for that. But it's still a scary thing to go through. So basically, I realized that Iowa Methodist has lied to me about everything, the additional tests, yeah, all of that. So then I began requesting my medical records from all three places. So once again, it's Iowa Methodist, that's the hospital that did the transplant. University of Iowa, the other transplant department that, they did good by me. They just didn't get a kidney in time. And Mercy Hospital, which is where I do my dialysis through and have my own personal nephrologist. So the last two, University of Iowa and Mercy, they got me those records right away, immediately. However, the first one, the one who did the transplant, I spent the next 4 months trying to get those records. They gave me various excuses and they would send me random pieces of records, some of them even on a CD, some of them were paper, and it was conveniently never what I needed. They're a hospital. They know how to send me records. They know how to do this. They do this on an everyday basis. So there was no excuse. One of the excuses was that, oh, our records department is down and we can't get that to you for another 30 days. And it was just always some weird excuse. Like I'd call them, they'd be like, oh yeah, it'll take 15 minutes. I can email them to you right now. You don't even have to come down. There's no problem. It's very easy to get it to you. They get into my file. I don't know if something was flagged. I don't know what. But then everybody's tone changed. That's when the excuses would come up. That's when they would tell me, oh, it's 30 days, or oh, I sent this to you, and then I look and it's not the right thing. Even the tone of how the person was talking was just completely different. And I'm like, yeah, that's suspicious, but okay. So Finally, me and my mother, we had enough because, like I said, they had sent me 4, 5, 6 different things that were not what I needed. In their hospital, they do this all the time. They know what I needed, and they knew why I needed it. And they knew I was looking at, talking to attorneys. So me and my mom, we decided to make the 2.5 hour drive to go get the full and complete set of records. And I only think we got those by mistake. There was somebody who, was listening to everything we had gone through. She's like, "Oh, it's not that serious. We can give them to you right now." And she felt sympathy for me. And so she slid me those records. So we finally got them after 4 months. But on the way home, those 2.5 hours, I was able to very easily track down the information that I needed. I'm going through the records. And the one for August 2023, it mentions the lesion or the tumor or whatever you want to call it. And that was the most recent one. It makes reference to there being a tumor 1 year before. But when you flip through the records and you get to that tumor that it's talking about, or sorry, you get to that date that it's talking about on that CT and everything, it says the words kidneys normal. There is no mention of a tumor, even though the other record says, "Oh, this is in reference to the tumor that we talked about, blah, 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 blah." It was nothing there. It was nothing there. It says kidneys normal, that my kidneys were fine. Here's another tidbit of information. No transplant department will put you on their list and make you active and give you a transplant with a tumor or even the hint of a lesion. They want to investigate that, because if it could possibly be a tumor, or it could possibly be cancer, they won't give you an organ. When you get a transplant, you have to take pills for the rest of your life. Those pills bottom out your immune system. It's the anti-rejection pill, so your body doesn't reject that organ. It gives you no immune system. You have to be extremely careful for the rest of your life. That being said, if you contract cancer, you have no immune system to fight it off. So there's no way that 2 different departments with 2 different systems, 2 different hospitals would have approved me for a transplant if there was the potential that I had cancer. They wouldn't have done it. That hospital who did they would not have done it. So there's no way that I had a tumor a year before that. There's no way. There's no way I had cancer a year before that. So for 2 years now, I've been in contact with dozens of lawyers who specialize in medical malpractice all over the country. But the ones locally said they couldn't represent me, either because there's a conflict of interest or it would cost too much time and resources to fight this case because of everything that's needed to be done. Every single one of them, however, urged me to not stop looking. They all said I had a strong case and I needed to fight this. And they emphasized that by law, I only had a total of 2 years from the date of discovery. That's important. Date of discovery, not the date of the transplant, not the date of the surgery, but the date of discovery. And when you look that up, it's basically when you notice there was a problem. So this coming February of 2025 would make 2 years since my botched transplant surgery. However, we didn't discover there was a problem until that call in September. May even be able to stretch it out until January of that next year when the biopsy came back that it was cancer. I don't know, there's for a court of law to decide, but we at least have until September to prove it, or else I can't take them to court for it anymore. I don't want to take the chance on September, but I know we have until that, but I don't want to take that chance. I'm trying to tell myself it needs to be filed by February 23rd. Okay, so you got all the information. I am open to answering any other questions. If anybody wants to email me or Facebook me or whatever, I'll clarify anything else. But that's the background of it. Here's the problem. There are records that we need to prove this. We need to prove the records. We need to get the records from Iowa Donor Network, the company that disperses and harvests and, hands out the organs. But we can't get that. They will not release those records to me. They're citing HIPAA, but I think it's more than that. Because it's my name involved as well. So why can't I get my records? Um, yeah. So we need to get the records from Iowa Donor Network, but they will not give it to us without a subpoena. We can't get a subpoena until a lawsuit is filed. We can't file a lawsuit unless we have a transplant surgeon that we have to hire him on as an expert witness. In some cases, a lawyer's firm would just cover all the costs. But in this case, since we don't have the Iowa Donor Network records to prove it, they are only putting up a small part of that. And that's what those other attorneys were saying when they said they didn't have the resources. They basically didn't have the money to fight it and hire all of the specialists that we need to prove this case to testify. So they're going to pay a portion, but I have to come up with around $3,000 of my own. I don't have that. You know, even if I beg all of my friends and family, we don't have that. I used to work. I made good money, but for the last 3 years or so, maybe even 4 years now, I've been on disability because, especially towards the beginning of needing dialysis, I couldn't stay awake for 8 hour shift or even a 4 hour shift. Like I was just a mess. I had a lot of other health problems that we've now gotten under control, but I'm still not able to get back to work. Dialysis takes a lot out of you. By the time you recover from one session, it's time to go to another one. So it's just not a possibility for me being on disability and not being able to work. I can't come up with that money on my own. So my friends and family know that thing I hate the most is asking for help, and I'm getting better about that. But I don't like asking for help like around the house or with things that I can't do, but I've had to. So when it comes to asking for money, that's just not for me. But here I am. I've been putting this off for about 2 or 3 months, but I have to do this. I have to get this done and at least try. So I'm asking for help from people. I know that the holidays are just a week away. I understand that. And, I'm not asking anybody to take away from their kids' presents or their holidays or anything like that. Heck, if you need to wait until after the holidays and you recoup from that, then go for it. I'm just trying to do whatever I could do. So I'm asking for help from people. The next step in this is hiring that specialist. And I just ask that you guys help me get this story out, help me move on to the next step of this process. Um, it was not okay what they did. Everyone told me from the beginning to get a lawyer. And I was like, oh no, it was a mistake, blah, 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 blah. But it became more than a mistake when they lied, when they bullied me, when they gaslit me in the hospital, when they, tried to blame the cancer on something else. I just turned 39 years old. Cancer? Come on. Come on. But yeah, it became a fight when they tried to play me. And that's not right. These hospitals should not be able to do this. They should not be able to get away with this. And you also have to think the kidneys, I looked it up. The kidneys is one of the very last organs that they harvest. So think of that one donor, his eyes, his skin, his lungs. I don't know about his heart, but other organs were donated to other people. There are other people out there that maybe this wasn't caught. There are other people getting cancer diagnosis right now and don't know where it came from because they got a part of that man. That 60-year-old woman, I tried my hardest to talk to a nurse, sweet talk somebody to just give me her name so that even if she got out of the hospital before me, which she did, I would be able to track her down and see how she was doing. I asked them a million times, hey, now that I'm walking, can I walk over to the ladies' room? Can you wheel me over to the ladies' room? I just want to see how she's doing because she's in the same position that I am. Her transplanted kidney had to be taken out too. She's going through the same mental dis she's in there going through the same thing that I'm going through. That disappointment. If you knew how hard it is to get on the transplant department and on the transplant list, and to make it that far and have it ripped away from you because they didn't want to lose money. They didn't want to lose money. Let's make them lose money. Let's stick it to them because that's not right. Because me and a 6-year-old woman, if she's even still alive, if her cancer didn't take her out, all the people, the dozens of people that could have got parts of that man, they didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve that. That ain't how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to go to hospitals for relief, for medical. They're supposed to take care of you to save your life, and here they've endangered mine. I have been back on dialysis for 2 years. I have had more hospitalizations since then. I've had more surgeries since then. I have not been able to go back to work. I have not been able to start and finish the dreams that I've had. And my life has been ruined. And yeah, I am upbeat and I am chipper and all these things. And I try to be the most positive, jolly person that my friends and family know. But damn, it's been hard. It's been real hard, y'all. And I don't have depression where I need medication, but I have what they call a situational depression. And it won't be rectified until somebody pays and until I get my kidney and I can go and live my life how I want to and I can get back in a swimming pool because I got this chest port that can't get wet and I can go do all the dreams that I've planned to do this whole time. That's when my depression is going to be cured. That's when I'm going to be back to my peak and start living my life. So this needs to get done. This hospital needs to pay for what they've done to me and that woman and anybody else who got a piece of that man. It ain't fair. It ain't right. And I know that we're just numbers to them, but this is my life. This is my body. You've taken away my life. That ain't right. We need to stick it to this hospital. They better name a wing after me when I'm done with them. I want to sue them for as much as I can get. And it ain't even about the money. It's about sticking it to them because that's the only way they will learn and start changing the way that they do things is when you hit their pockets. So I know this was long. And I know it was a lot of information. And I'm sorry, y'all, but it wouldn't have made sense to just come on here because I see people with GoFundMe's all the time. They be like, oh, give me GoFundMe so I can get some extra groceries or so I can do this. They got food banks. They got options. I don't have an option. I don't have any other option. And I didn't want to just be one of those people doing a GoFundMe for some frivolous cause. So just know that inside, this took everything in me to be able to even talk about this again. So I'm asking for y'all help. If you can't help, if you can't donate, I don't even care. I don't even care if I don't get a dime from this lawsuit. I just want to stick it to them and I want this video to go as far as it can go and I want people to know what they did and what they're trying to continue to do. They need to pay. So please, y'all, help me and help others who are in my situation. Y'all take care and enjoy your holidays. Thank you for listening to my rant.